Thank you for coming. We're going to go over our latest features from Publishers Marketplace. I'm Marianne Naples, I should also say. And in about 1 minute, Michael Cater is going to turn on his camera and share his screen. If you have questions, you can put them in the chat. Okay. Michael, it's 2:02, so let's get started.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for spending a little time with us. As Marianne was saying, today we're going to walk you through a bunch of new features that we've introduced recently at publishersmarketplace.com. Since I started the site almost 25 years ago now, we've been pledged to doing iterative innovation. We're working on the site all the time. It turns out one of my favorite things actually is creating new features. But as Marianne and others have pointed out, sometimes we don't explain those new features quite as well as we could because it's so much fun making them. They're also, everything at the site is designed to be point and click, but we've had our biggest feature launch ever over the last month or so. So it seems time to set up a session to walk interested folks through some of those features. We're also going to be building out a better video help center in addition to our written help center at the site. I'm going to try to keep this quick, but if you have questions as we go, put them in the chat, or else we'll have time at the end for additional questions and discussion if that's useful. So I'm going to drop away and start sharing my screen, and we will go from there. I'm going to jump around browsers actually during the course of this presentation. This is logged in the way you guys are as a regular user rather than one of the folks who might have BookScan from us, because later on we're going to show you what it looks like when you get to see some of the BookScan information embedded in Publishers Marketplace. So we're just starting at the homepage here. The first thing that I want to talk about exists in our Dealmakers matrix. Dealmakers, as you probably know, is a whole infrastructure built around our deal reports. Thanks to you guys, we have a significant flow of deals and a significant backlog of deals from the last 25 years or so. And what we did originally was put a layer on top of those deals that we call Dealmakers. So Dealmakers are the individual pages for agents, agencies, editors, and imprints that show all of their transactions over time and have all kinds of different windows for sorting those. Then a lot of users told us that they wanted to pull information out of that deals corpus. They wanted to know people who acquire a lot of debut fiction, people who sell a lot of books in a particular area. So that gave rise to what we call browse top deal makers. Those are the lists that we create that show you the 100 most active people across all of the 80 or so subcategories that we monitor. And what we've done now is put yet another filtering layer on top of Dealmakers itself, so you can actually look at both companies and individuals based on the size of the entity, which segment of the book business they're in, because we have about 150,000 deals historically for domestic US deals. So that's covering a wide universe of publishers, right? We're going from the big five and their competitors and peers all the way down to all kinds of new startups, digital publishers, micro presses, small presses. So this new filtering layer lets you be much more targeted in the searches that you're making of our Dealmakers pages. What's new, you'll see now just on the main Dealmakers page, is this little key that's giving you color-coded indicators. So when you go to a Dealmakers page, you're going to see just a subtle little coloration in the corner that's going to indicate the segment to which that person or entity belongs. And as you'll see in a minute, when you bring up your top Dealmakers lists, you're also going to see these color codings. What's useful is if you have any questions about how we've segmented, just click on that little question mark box and it will bring up the explanations of how we're parsing these different segments. Also, important to note that none of this is set in stone. We've done our best at the outset to try to put things where we believe they belong. We've used a number of factors to make these decisions. But if you have questions or concerns, you can always write to us, because this is something we're going to be evaluating all the time and trying to refine. And there are entities that move up and down in size as well. This is a live database, so we're going to try to keep adjusting as we go. So now we're just in the Browse Top Deal Makers. There are toggles for every field here. So you can look across any of the types of entities that we track. We're going to look at editors. One thing I like to tell people is sometimes folks will look at these broad categories. Usually, the more targeted the category, the better results you're going to have. You can often look at multiple categories if you don't think you're finding the exact result that you want, and be mindful that we also have a whole separate setup for digital publishers. So sometimes you might want to look through the regular categories and then also check the digital publisher categories. You can also look just at the slice of people who've made six-figure deals. So that's for if you're looking for high money buyers and sellers, or often you'll find people of greater depth of experience there. A lot of people don't know it, but we also have this category called new deal makers. That's where you can focus on people whose first transactions within their given category type, agent, editor, has been made within the last 2 years. So if you're looking for new people to do business with, new agents, new editors, new imprints, that new deal makers tab is something that you're going to want to check out. But for the purposes of this demonstration, we're pulling regular lists. So all publishers is the default. This is going to give you the same type of deal maker list that you always saw before, which is going to look across all of our categories, irrespective of size. If you want to target size, then you would go down through these individual toggles. So here I've got editors acquiring debut fiction, and it's set to that default, which is just all publishers. You can see here, we've got different color coding tags by the different editors who come up. So this means Jess is categorized with our mid-sized publishers, Reagan is with our large publishers, Melissa is with our mid-sized publishers, and so on. And in fact, when we go to large publishers, you're going to see that list is going to look pretty similar. So now we're going to see only green dots because we're within the segment just of large publishers. So this is the first of our targeted lists. Where it gets really interesting is when you then zoom into the mid-sized publishers. You can see we have a completely different list. Suddenly, we're surfacing all kinds of editors and imprints that you wouldn't have seen in that overall list. So if you're really targeting that segment of mid-sized independent publishers, you've got a much wider view here. And similarly, if you're really looking for a small press or a digital publisher or an international imprint that also acquires world English rights and publishes in the US, now again, we have a completely different list, much more targeted. You're getting to see people who wouldn't have been revealed in any of those other lists. So this works across all of our categories. It works across all of the different types here. So we can do the same thing if we're looking for imprints rather than editors in particular. When we're looking at agents and agencies, for agents, we're using an algorithm that determines where that person is making the preponderance of their deals, because there are agents who work across the spectrum. So it's if you're a writer and you're looking for an agent who's specifically targeting or working within that small press area, you can get a different list than you would get if you're looking for an agent who's really doing most of their deals with the largest publishers in the business. The next thing that we've added to Dealmakers is what we call top deals. And this is our super cool tool for helping you find great comps and do benchmarking. So it looks across the universe of our deals and pulls out the deals that have sold the most. So here's top fiction debut deals by sales. So we're looking, and then we have two views. So the first view, the default view, looks across time. So this is showing you the best-selling debut novels that match up to our deal records since we started doing this back in 2004. For the view that all of you are going to see as regular members, we show you the top 25 deals in any category. For those folks who have embedded book scan data from us, we also show you lists of 100 titles for each of these lists. Now, the all-time list is good for benchmarking, right? It lets you know what's as good as it gets within this subcategory. But if you're looking for recent comps, which is a problem for many people, then you toggle to the one by publication date, and it's going to completely flip the lens of what's here. So this is now showing us, according to when the books were published, books that have sold very well, and you can count on as being solid comps because they've reached high levels of success. So now we get a completely different view than what we were seeing before. The publication dates are always listed here in case you're wondering. So if you only want to go back a certain number of years in your comps, you can see this is 2018. If you want to look for categories, you can just search within your browser. I know sometimes people are looking for comps within their own house. Similarly, you could search for your imprints, if you spell it correctly, and find your house in there as well. Like everything else that works in this matrix, we can do this across all of the categories that we track. So you can pull comps that are very granular, very particular, which we think is going to save lots of people lots of time, but also give you new ideas about your comps as well as your benchmarking. Another thing that I'll mention, we are going to make this video available to you afterwards. And as I said, we're going to try to build out a video help category for you guys at the site. But a lot of what I'm explaining today is on our writer's guide. We call it writer's guide because the people with the most questions when they first join the site tend to be writers and authors coming to the site for the first time. But in fact, the writer's guide mostly works through how to look at agents, editors, imprints, agencies, how to use Dealmakers. It's updated. So this includes the new size filters that we've put in here. So I think more or less anybody will find this useful if you're looking for detailed information on how to use the Dealmakers portion of our site. You find it by going to the help menu. The next thing we launched is what we call Rights Matcher. It's the latest addition to all of the AI-powered matchers that we've introduced recently. You may recall, first we introduced Deal Matcher, Agent Matcher, there's an Editor Matcher, and now Rights Matcher. Deal Matcher, Agent Matcher, Editor Matcher all work the same way. They were different ways of, once again, pulling out information from our deals corpus. So Deals Matcher primarily lets you do natural language searches of our deals. Right now, our previous search matrix really only would match specific words and terms. But now that we have natural language search, again, you can look for comps using Deal Matcher, and it'll help you search that whole corpus of deals. Agent Matcher and Editor Matcher help you find the most appropriate person by letting you enter a natural description of your manuscript. Rights Matcher takes a completely different lens on all of that. It's really aimed at rights buyers and sellers, and it's a different way of pulling out intelligence that's hidden in our database. So as you can see, we have fairly extensive descriptions here of how to use Rights Matcher. I'm not going to repeat that, but I'm just going to give you a quick demonstration. It's designed to both sell rights and buy rights. We're going to look first at selling rights. So what I entered was World War II spy novel, which is actually similar to one of our sample queries. I'm going to look in fiction. In here, you can pick any territory that you're looking to sell rights into. You can select all territories. I don't recommend it because it's not going to give you very good results. This is meant to be used if you've got a manuscript or a published book and you're looking to sell it in a particular territory and you want ideas. What I would recommend here too is that you make multiple searches. So these are the recommendations looking across all of fiction for a World War II spy novel where you're looking to sell rights in France. What you're going to see is that the system will give you slightly different answers depending upon how granular you go. So you can start with these general results if you want, but if you want more ideas, we should probably look in debut fiction. Sometimes we're going to find World War II spy novels in thrillers. So we're going to look there too. We're going to get a slightly different, even more targeted set. Sometimes they're going to be categorized in general other fiction. So we're going to check there too. Each of these is narrowing the search. When we're back up at fiction general, it's a broader search. As I said, with all of these search interfaces we've built, one search is great, but I'm going to recommend multiple searches to get different ideas and find slightly different ways of looking at all of the targeted information that we have in the database. Buy Rights flips the funnel and is really designed to help international buyers find books that are in our database for which we don't have a sale recorded in your territory. So this sample search is the instance in which you're a German publisher, you're looking for a World War II spy novel for your list, you'd like to know what's available or what's potentially available. So that was the search that I ran here. It gives us a bunch of books from our corpus that might be available. Again, you're going to have to check with the individual rights holder. We only know the data that comes to us through the 150,000 or so rights deals that have been reported to us. We do have a scheme in mind to expand that information. We can click on any of these and we're going to get the infamous deal screenshot. So you can see system did a pretty good job there. This book was sold almost 5 years ago, so it may or may not still be available. We haven't had a report for the German rights information. Here's another one where, again, system's done a pretty good job of doing that natural language matching of the search query to the book type. We're back to the blank because I already ran my search. So those are the three things that we launched last month. As you can see, big changes in that Dealmakers universe, a continuing extension on our rights matcher technology. Now, what I'll call out for you here is we're also asking publishers and agents to start contributing more rights information to us. Right now, we're dealing with, as I said, the 150,000 or so international rights deal reports that we have in our database. And the next thing we're building, which should be ready soon, is a scheme that's going to let you connect rights deals to each other. So you'll be able to bring up where the crawdads sing, and you'll be able to see all of the rights deals that have been reported to us in a single list alongside the original deal. That's a feature that's being made possible by the AI contractor who helped us build this rights matcher scheme, which is breaking apart all the data that we have and putting it back together again in a different form. Next, though, we're going to be able to take exports, simple exports from your rights management databases. So for all those projects where we don't have your complete rights information, we're going to be able to integrate that into that same database that's going to link all the rights deals together into a single record. So we're going to be able to take simple CSV files from you. We ask that you contact us so we can just review the fields that are included. We just announced this a little while ago. For rights folks, we know you're totally focused on Frankfurt right now, so probably nobody's going to think about sending us rights information until after you've done your Frankfurt cleanup. We are aware that there are others in the space who have been getting rights information from folks to create databases for different purposes, and it was a request of multiple agents that we be able to accommodate that data as well. So we listened, as we often try to do, and we do have that capability. Now we're going to hop over to a couple other features that have nothing to do with the rights and deals universe. At the beginning of the year, we quietly launched what we call salary search. So our job board has been the leading job board in the industry for decades now. We have a lot of salary information in that job board database, a lot more from the last few years in particular, because salary transparency laws in a variety of states have meant that people need to post salary ranges when they post jobs with us, although it turned out that even our old records had lots of information in them. So we're gonna just do a quick search here. You don't have to. You can put in something simple like editor or publisher. You could put in senior editor. It will match whatever you put in there. By default, as you can see, we're going to show most recent dates first, but you can also see that this salary search goes across our entire database if and when we had salary information. So it helps you see progress that has or hasn't been made over time. The other thing to know is that all of these entities at the top are clickable. So it comes in default based on when the job was posted. So we're showing you the most recent information first, but we can sort by salary. And suddenly you can see what does the top end of the salary ranges look like irrespective of time. If you wanted to look alphabetically by employer, then we can see what salary ranges have looked like by individual employer over time. So once again, it's just a way of unlocking some data that we have. It's a unique data set. I happen to know that the chief people officers at a number of large companies use this to help benchmark and check out the marketplace. So it is useful for employers as well as people looking for jobs. Another cool way that we've tapped into data that we always had that's gotten more robust recently, and now we make it available to everybody. Next, we're going to look at some Bookscan stuff. both to give you general book scan information, but the new thing is that earlier this year we started integrating audio book sales data for the first time through BookScan's special database, which they call PubTrack Digital Audio, something that people have wanted for a long time, and we're finally able to make it available to people who get BookScan data from us. If you go to this main BookScan tab on our homepage, you can get to the granular information. I'm looking at this tab called Print, Ebook, and Audio Sales. If we scroll down, here's where we describe the audiobook sales upgrade. So this upgrade is available as an additional subscription to the agents, authors, and other independent publishing professionals who get BookScan data through us. We are not allowed to license to publishers except for a special upgrade, which I'll show you in a few minutes. Unfortunately, the audio data is available only from a select group of publishers right now, so please be mindful of that. But as with the ebook data that BookScan provides for these publishers, that information is complete because it's based on their sales invoices rather than being reported by the retailers themselves. So it will cover all sales for a HarperCollins or a Hachette Book Group. That same data, when available, is integrated even into our cool, affordable $25 a month data packages. So if you're tracking a title and we have the audio data available, you'll see it in those packages as well. I'm going to stop my screen share and jump over to a different screen, so bear with me. So now I'm logged into a different browser because I'm showing you a browser where I have a different level of privileges. This is an account that has BookScan privileges with it. So the cool thing that we do for the people who get BookScan data from us, and that we can now do on a specially licensed basis to our corporate publishing customers who wish to upgrade, is that we embed BookScan data into our deal records and our Dealmaker pages and all the cool things that you can do with those Dealmaker pages. So here's just a sample page. We're looking at Scribner's Dealmaker page. We've got that green icon up here, which is telling us that they're one of our large publishers. This you won't see on your regular screen. That's because I have super administrative privileges. If we look at the six-figure deals tab for Scribner and we sort not by date, but by sales, it shows every title that we've got in the database in the order of sales, but it embeds all the actual BookScan sales data right here. In many ways, this is an improvement on the BookScan system itself because, first of all, it's just putting the data in context. We have the description of the book, all of the basic deal information, the information about how much it may have sold for, and we have all of the relevant additions all in one place. Here, we have all that data combined in one place, and we also do a cumulative tracked sales number, which is not something that you'll find in BookScan. Beyond that, we're running an algorithm in the background so that sometimes you might see things in an order in which total sales is slightly different because we're actually calculating total gross publisher dollars when we sort things in sales order. This data is embedded across all of the deals that we've got here historically. So that was the six-figure deals, but it extends to all of the deals Scribner's ever made. So here are the ones you get a slightly different view because this is not just six-figure deals, reported six-figure deals, but all deals. So Film Night was certainly a six-figure deal. It wasn't reported that way, so it doesn't show up in the six figures deals tab. It shows up in the overall deals tab. And this same data is what feeds those notable titles. Sometimes people ask us to adjust their notable titles. This is all driven by the system. We can't adjust it because it's driven by the actual sales information. When we go to that new top deals feature that I was mentioning before, again, we've got the sales data embedded here. So suddenly, once again, if your purpose is really great comps or really great benchmarking, we're not just seeing the order in which these debut novels ranked, but we're seeing just how many units they sold and what those unit sales looked like. Now, here, we don't have audio data because it's part of Penguin Random House. They don't contribute their data to PubTrack Digital Audio. Here, We do have that data because it's HarperCollins. They do contribute their data. Once again, here we have it flipped by publication date. So we're looking at recent publications. Here we've got a Simon & Schuster title. So it does have the audio, which again gives you a sense of the relative importance of audio data at certain houses and for certain types of books. And as I noted, for folks who have book scan information, this is a really deep list. We go 100 deep instead of 25 deep. So you're sure to be able to find the kind of comp that you're looking for if you have this kind of access. Quickly, just a couple more things because we're using up our time. We did upgrade and completely redesign our member profile pages just about a year ago. This is one that hasn't been updated yet. It's the way our pages used to look. We don't force anyone to update. If you want to update your page, that's an elective choice that a member makes by going into your account page. But here's a sample of what our new pages look like, which we think is more attractive and modern. There's a feature that lets you automatically show your most recent deals on your member page. Also, if you'd like to switch and you haven't figured out how to do that yet, you're going to go to the account button. You're going to click on your account. That's going to bring you to this page. And then you're going to go to the member profile section, tools section. When you go to edit your member profile, it will give you an option to switch to the new design. I've already switched to the new design, so it's not giving me that option. And we're back, and I think Sarah and Marianne can let me know if we have any questions in the chat, or if you have questions and you were saving them up, just let us know and we'll see what we can do for you.
And yes, I'm just going to jump in and say we didn't really have that many questions in the chat. I'm seeing one right now. Where do you put, oh yes, romance. Okay, so there's a question about the romance category, which Sarah is answering. Does anybody feel free to put any additional questions in the chat right now? I also wanted to jump in and say that as someone who came from the editorial side, I almost cried when I first saw the embedded data that I had not been seeing as a publisher because I felt like it would have given me such a more comprehensive view than some of the things that I was able to look at. I really, if you have BookScan access or you get the monthly data package, I think it's really worth taking a deep look at that.
Up until very recently, we were not allowed to license this data to publishers. Our relationship with BookScan for years has been specifically with agents, authors, and independent professionals. They have always reserved the publisher relationships for themselves exclusively. When we started doing all this cool stuff with the data, we went back to them and said, you know what? The agents all have it. Shouldn't publishers be able to upgrade and get this same view if they're interested? And after they thought about it, they realized, sure, for publishers who are already BookScan clients, if you're interested in upgrading your publisher's marketplace corporate membership to have this embedded BookScan data, only as of earlier this year, we are now allowed to do that. So please reach out to us. We've just done a little bit of outreach to houses, but it has not been extensive yet. Similarly, if you're one of the handful of literary agencies that still has a legacy direct relationship with BookScan, you too can upgrade with us. We have a couple of agencies that have done that. It's a great capability. We want people to be able to have as much use of the cool stuff that we put at the site as possible. So if you have any questions in that area, do reach out to us. But I should clarify, we can't license basic BookScan data to publishers. If there are publishers there who don't have BookScan accounts, you need to start with Circana BookScan first because they exclusively handle those primary relationships. Certain types of people. So if you're registered with us as a publisher, it's not going to show you a form. It's not going to let you apply for service. If you're registered under accounts that look like this, it will let you apply. If you're registered the wrong way, which is the case for some people, you can go to your account page and you can actually, oh, sorry, I'm in a guest account, so it's not gonna let me do it from this. You can change your role if you're registered for the incorrect role, and then it will make available to you the option to get service from that page.
Great. Just a reminder that we will be sending out a video and we're going to be doing more of these in the future. You'll have other chances to see these things demonstrated and learn more about Publishers Marketplace.
And I think Sarah put the help address in there.
I
So if you
did.
have further questions that you didn't get a chance to ask now, or you just want to ask in writing because it's more complicated, or you just feel like querying us that way, once again, we try to get back to people promptly and use links and whatever we can do to help guide you to using the site. There's lots of cool stuff at the site. As you can see, the main flaw of Publishers Marketplace is I put way too much good stuff there. And I always want there to be more good stuff there. It's there to be used. We want you to use it all.
Thank you all for your nice comments in the chat, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us. And most of all, thanks for your membership. We're here to serve you. It is our pleasure and our honor. And I'm glad you spent some time with us today. Thank you.